to put that back on and to stand there in front of a mirror.
The character means so much to me, and it's been 5 years now.
Welcome back, Superman.
Hollywood used to call Henry Cavill the unluckiest actor alive. Too perfect, too early, always second choice. That reputation usually ends careers. For him, it became the reason Superman finally worked. In Hollywood, being almost chosen is more dangerous than being rejected. It keeps you close enough to believe, but far enough to be forgotten. Henry Cavill lived in that space for years. Always noticed, rarely selected. His career didn't stall because of failure. It stalled because the industry couldn't figure out when to use him. What looked like bad luck was actually something rarer. Long preparation with no payoff. And when Superman finally came back around, that history changed how the role landed. So think about this before we continue. If you were passed over again and again for the thing you felt born to do, would you keep preparing or walk away? Before Henry Cavill became Superman, he almost missed the role that would define his life. Not because he wasn't good enough, not because he didn't look the part, but because timing betrayed him again and again. Timing is the cruelest gatekeeper in Hollywood. It doesn't care how prepared you are. It doesn't care how hard you worked. It only cares whether you arrive at the exact moment the door happens to be open. In the early 2000s, Cavill hovered near the biggest opportunities in the industry, like a ghost no one could quite grab. Tall, classically handsome, possessing a seriousness that felt out of step with an era chasing irony and swagger. He auditioned for James Bond. He auditioned for Superman. He didn't fail in the traditional sense. He impressed, he lingered, he was remembered, and then he was passed over. Again and again. That kind of rejection does something dangerous. It makes you believe you are almost destined, but never chosen. Hollywood doesn't reward almost. It erases it. Slowly, quietly, Cavill gained a reputation he never earned through mistakes. The unluckiest man in Hollywood. A phrase that sounds casual until it follows you into every room. Until it hangs in the air after auditions end. It wasn't cruel because it was false. It was cruel because it reduced years of effort into a joke about fate. Most actors would have buried the dream after missing Superman once. Cavill didn't. He carried it silently, like a sentence that hadn't reached its final word. While Hollywood sprinted toward louder stars and faster success, Cavill stood still in a way that looked like failure from the outside. But it wasn't stagnation. It was preparation without applause. He trained relentlessly, sculpting his body not for vanity, but for readiness. He studied his craft with the quiet seriousness of someone who believed opportunity would return if he was still standing when it did. The roles came, but they never unlocked the door. Period dramas, supporting characters, fantasy projects that earned respect but not leverage. Enough to survive, never enough to break through. Every year that passed without momentum added weight to the doubt. Was he too earnest? Too traditional? Too restrained for an industry addicted to charm and spectacle? Cavill didn't dominate interviews. He didn't manufacture controversy. He didn't sell a persona louder than his work. In an industry that rewards noise, restraint feels invisible. Silence feels like surrender. And yet he refused to perform desperation. What Cavill was building was something most actors never get the chance to develop because they quit too early. Endurance. The ability to keep faith without evidence, discipline without reassurance, the strength to wait without growing bitter. Superman wouldn't need someone hungry for attention. He would need someone who knew how to carry weight quietly. Cavill was becoming that man long before the suit ever found him. When Warner Bros. Began searching for a new Superman, the character itself was adrift. Not weak, not broken, just distant. Superman had become a symbol people admired from afar but couldn't emotionally reach. He was perfect, and perfection creates distance. Audiences respected him, but they didn't feel him. Zack Snyder wanted something heavier, a Superman who felt the burden of existing at all. A god who didn't celebrate his power, but questioned it. Someone who felt the loneliness of being able to save everyone and still belong nowhere. When Cavill auditioned again, years after the first disappointment, something had changed. There was no hunger to impress, no need to prove himself. He approached the role with understanding instead of ambition. He didn't ask what Superman should look like. He asked what Superman should carry. When the call finally came, it didn't feel like victory. It felt sobering, like being trusted with something fragile. Cavill didn't celebrate, he didn't shout, he sat with it. He understood that this role wasn't about redemption or arrival, it was about responsibility. And for the first time, the weight felt right. Becoming Superman didn't make Cavill feel powerful. It made him feel isolated. The physical transformation was brutal, but visible strength was never the real challenge. The silence inside the suit was heavier. Superman doesn't get the relief of sarcasm. He doesn't get rage without consequence. He doesn't get forgiven for mistakes. Every movement is judged, every pause interpreted. Cavill played Clark Kent as a man constantly calculating the cost of his existence. Not confident, careful. Someone aware that a single emotional misstep could cause devastation. This Superman didn't smile easily because he couldn't afford to. Joy had consequences. Comfort had consequences. Even love carried risk. Audiences expecting inspiration without struggle were confused by the restraint. But Cavill understood something fundamental. True strength isn't loud, it isn't flashy. It's control in the face of absolute power. He didn't play Superman as someone who wanted to save the world. He played him as someone terrified of hurting it. When Man of Steel released, the reaction fractured immediately. Too dark, too serious, too human. Many wanted Superman to be reassurance without discomfort, a symbol without vulnerability. Cavill absorbed the criticism quietly. He didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He listened. And while debate raged online, something quieter was happening. People who had never related to Superman finally saw themselves. They saw loneliness, fear, the pressure of responsibility without applause. Cavill wasn't playing a fantasy. He was playing an outsider trying to belong to a world that watched him with suspicion. Understanding doesn't arrive instantly, it ages. And Superman, like Cavill himself, was ahead of the moment. As the universe expanded, pressure intensified. Every scene became a referendum, every expression analyzed. Cavill stayed steady. He didn't chase approval. He didn't reshape the character to satisfy trends. He protected him. Through Batman vs. Superman and beyond, his Superman chose restraint again and again. Not because he was weak, because he was strong enough to hold back. And slowly, perception shifted. What once felt cold began to feel courageous. This Superman wasn't distant. He was careful. Superman. Henry Cavill didn't become Superman because he looked like a god. He became Superman because he understood restraint. Superman isn't about power. He's about choosing not to use it. About carrying the ability to destroy everything and choosing mercy instead. Cavill didn't chase love for the role. He honored it. He gave Superman something rare in modern cinema: gravity, silence, consequence. He didn't just wear the cape. He carried it. Henry Cavill didn't become Superman because Hollywood finally got lucky. He became Superman because years of being overlooked taught him how to carry weight without asking for recognition. The waiting wasn't wasted. The near misses weren't accidents. They trained him for a role that required patience, restraint, and quiet strength more than applause. Now, I want your honest take. Do you think Superman only works when he feels burdened instead of untouchable? Say it in the comments. And if you enjoy stories that look past headlines and box office numbers to explain why certain casting choices endure, subscribe. Because the roles that last aren't won by timing alone. They're earned by the people who keep preparing long after everyone else stops watching.